Hey, how's it going, captains? Admiral Tori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, I'm sailing the Tier 9 American aircraft carrier, the USS Essex. So recently, I noticed that I've been uploading a lot of carrier gameplays, and the reason why is because it's much easier to get a interesting carrier game going like this one. This one is very interesting compared to me trying to play some battleships, cruisers, or destroyers. I just find it very difficult to get some good, interesting gameplay other than just searching for the damage, because that's what most people seek for, and that's not what I seek for when it comes to the gameplay. But nonetheless, I have a lot of carrier gameplay in reserve, and I'm trying to split it up into like intervals. So some videos of me playing another game like Fallout 4, Call of Duty, or Prey, and then I got like a Iowa or Izumo video, then follow up with the carrier videos. But right now, if you noticed that I've been uploading a lot of carriers, it's because I just feel a little bit worn out on World of Warships. I just don't have the will to play World of Warships. I play World of Warships much less compared to before, and I just don't get the thrill. Now recently, the reason why I'm playing a lot of carriers is because carriers is like something different, and I find that carrier gameplays are much more easier, if not more interesting, to commentate over with, because I'm talking about a lot of things going on. Well, like a battleship gameplay, aim for the citadel, aim for the guy showing broadside, sail this way, sail that way. I feel like I repeat myself all the time when I talk about battleship gameplay. Carriers, it gets much more interesting. So I'm facing an enemy Essex. I think he's running the strike loadout. Our two destroyers are contesting the B flag. I sent my fighter down to the B flag. We spot the Sims, Kudasov, and Belfast. Now hopefully our two destroyers know what they're doing, because they're facing a Kudasov and a Belfast that is equipped with radar. Our southern fleet is going to make an attempt to take the B flag and at the same time take the A flag. Our northern fleet is going to take the C flag. I spot the Bismarck. I have 3 of my dive bombers up in the north. Now there is a lot of gameplay in my hard drive with carriers that I saved up, and this particular gameplay is actually old. So C flag is being contested. At the same time, I spotted the enemy Essex dive bomber. Most likely he's going to rush down the middle and try to hit somebody with his dive bombers. So I'm trying to decide whether I should just attack first or defend. In this case, I'm going to do both at the same time, I think. This gameplay is very old, so I don't recall exactly what happened. And then I'm going to attack the Missouri. So I got my fighter, Squadron 2, attacking one of the dive bombers. And I think I'm going to go for a quick attack while I'm at it. Here goes the dive bombers. Scored 2 hits. It wasn't that great of a dive bomb drop, but the enemy Missouri is going to be in the smoke, so I'm going to give it a shot. It's really hard to miss a big battleship like the Missouri. Now, I think that I took out some of his dive bombers, and he's trying to contest the zone with his fighters. Now, the torpedo bombers are my biggest concern, because the torpedo bombers can really screw over my Scharnhorst. I tried to do a strafe, and it looks like a semi-successful strafe, honestly. I'm not sure. I find that strafes only work when you lock onto a target first, and then you do the strafe. I find that it only works if you take on a target that's faster than your fighters. And that normally happens when you're trying to chase down a empty torpedo bomber or empty dive bombers. That is when the strafe actually works. So I think we scored 5 hits with the torpedo bombers. And the great thing was that when the Missouri was in the smoke, nobody was spotting my torpedo bombers, so my torpedo bombers didn't die too fast against a Missouri. Missouri has superb anti-air. Going to cycle my planes. At this moment, I'm going to send my fighter back. Already shot down 19 planes. That is a really good number of planes. My friendly team are doing some really weird stuff now. You see, I noticed that our ships spotted C, and they were going to go into C, and I was going to assist them on taking C. But it looks like having the Bismarck and Missouri with, I think, is it Royal Navy cruisers and a Neptune, Yeah, Neptune at sea just completely made my team do a 180 around. So I'm cycling my planes, and the enemy battleship Gneisenau now is going to be the start of the game. I'm going to go strike him with my dive bombers when they're up and ready. The Southern Fleet has been trying to make an effort to take A flag, but it looks like that North Carolina is going to be beat to death by the enemy fleet, the Southern Fleet, because he's the only ship in South, and North Carolina in particular isn't that fast of a ship. Although she is faster than your average Dreadnought, for sure. She is a big upgrade from the Colorado. So North Carolina is asking for help. I can only do so much, but I decided to work on B. Now my team is in a really chaotic situation. I spot the Gneisenau. I decided to attack the Gneisenau first because he is the closest one to our destroyers. Mahan dropped torpedoes. Gneisenau is going to avoid the torpedoes. Going to line up my dive bomber. My second bomber is coming in. And I'm going to line up this one too. 3 hits for the first one. This one's looking good also. Let's see how many I'm going to hit. Only 1. Gosh, I just hate the RNG on dive bombers, but when they work really good. And here goes the next dive bomb drop. Now, funny thing is that I don't kill the Gneisenau, and I don't think I did like most of the damage on it. I think I probably did like 30k, so maybe chunk half the health on the Gneisenau with those 3 dive bomb strike. I'm going in with the torpedo bomber, but the reason why I say the Gneisenau is the start of the game. You'll find out in the chat. Is the reality of playing carriers. Yeah, people just don't really like getting sunk by carriers. But that's alright. I think Bismarck got the worst of the effect from the Essex. Because honestly, those dive bombers didn't do that great of a deal of damage towards him. He actually died to a torpedo, or was this like a torpedo did a lot of damage and then someone finished him off with some shells. But that torpedo bomber strike was perfect and hits the broadside of the Bismarck. Now we are engaging in a typhoon, and my team is still struggling to try to get a flag. Unfortunately, since you only have 1 fighter on the Essex and it takes forever to surface, my fighter finally surfaced, and I'm going to send my fighter to the Friedrich de Grosser to see what I can do. Our North Carolina is still being chased. It's like a Grand Theft Auto chase here. Getting chased by the Gneisenau and shores. Now I decided that I'm going to try to help the North Carolina, but like I said, I can only do so much. Our Colorado over there is in a weird position, if I put it that way. When you play a ship that slow like the Colorado, you don't want to be that far from the battlefield, especially. So I think the Colorado should have been with the fleet at B, but I guess he's trying to make an effort to save the North Carolina. Now the Cyclone is coming in, and the visibility is being reduced. Cyclone, let's talk about Cyclone when it comes to playing carriers. I think Cyclone is like a double-edged sword because your planes are unable to spot ships in Cyclones until you're flying over their anti-air. At the same time, the enemy ship won't spot your planes until they're right above them. So it's this really weird situation where like you're going to have to set up for the attack, and by the time you spot the ship, you have to fly back and then do the attack. But the thing is that there is an advantage to the Cyclone is that the enemy is just not prepared to witness the dive bombers or torpedo bombers. So in this case, I'm searching for the Gneisenau, and you'll notice that the Gneisenau is already close to my dive bomber. Going for the drop, always from the bow, head on. We scored 5 hits. That was very lucky. I rarely get 5 hits out of 6. Or out of 7, since I have air supremacy. It looks like the Gneisenau burned her damage control, which means Gneisenau is most likely screwed. 2 dive bombers towards the bow. Head on. Torpedo bomber. Getting ready for the attack. I position my torpedo bomber while I use my dive bombers to scout, so I can get accurate location. Gneisenau is making an effort to dodge my torpedo bombers. But honestly, even if my torpedo bomber is screwed up, 3 fires are able to kill a half-health battleship. Yeah, that Gnazzy now is doomed to die. So now I'm sitting at 154,000 damage. I got my fighter to, I think the Feature Deck Grocer got sunk. It's also harder to actually protect your ships in a Cyclone when it comes to using your fighters because you don't see the planes unless they appear on the minimap and your team spots them. Going to engage the enemy Essex fighters because I want to get rid of those fighters. Here's some first-person view action, or more specifically, close-up on third-person view. Kind of like first-person, but not really. I mean, I say first-person because this is third-person to me right here. So I'm going to strafe out of the fighter and try to shoot down the dive bombers. And also try to take out the other squadron dive bombers to protect my Donskovoy. Here's some really quick moves. And enemy fighter is going to try to relock onto my fighter. That should do most of the damage. You really need all 6 to 7 dive bombers in order to do well with them. We managed to take the C flag for the first time. And this is where things get very interesting in the Cyclone. So in the Cyclone, you know, your visibility is reduced to 8 kilometers. And every ship on this map, every single ship will have a 8 kilometer concealment except destroyers that have 5.5 kilometers. So your battleship will have 8 kilometers, your aircraft carriers will have 8 kilometers, and look at me, I'm trying to engage this torpedo bombers, but I don't think I can do that much since I'm low on ammo. But yes, everything has 8 kilometers of concealment, and this is where things get really weird. So I'm going to strike the enemy fleet at B because most of them are at B, and at this point my team is far from repairing this battle, so we're bound to lose, but I'm going to try to squeeze as much as I can out of this match. Searching for a ship, spot the shores, going to drop these 1,000 pound bombs, and yeah. See, when the bombs work, they work really well, and they're so satisfying. Dive bombers are probably the most satisfying thing to use if things go well with them. So I'm going to go for another strike. Kind of follow up with my dive bomber again to the Kutuzov, I believe, and I'm slowly trying to close the distance here because there's really no point of me prolonging the game since we're bound to lose. Just look at the gap, it's ridiculous. So going in for the Kutuzov. I screwed up over there. Like I said, you have to reposition your planes once you're there. Now I'm spotted. I wonder who is spotting me. There's no destroyers, there's a lot of cruisers there, and next thing you know, I spot this Essex. This Essex was moving to the C flag. At the same time, we don't even realize that we bump into each other. But normally, I think the Essex should have been at the B flag since they captured the B flag and we captured the C flag. So I did not expect the Essex to be there. I had a decision between using my torpedo bombers and dive bombers on the cruisers or send them back to take on the Essex. And I should have made the decision to attack the Essex with my dive bombers or torpedo bombers. But I decided that, you know what, there's really no point because by the time I get there, he's going to use his defensive fire. So I decided to try to take out one of these cruisers. And this is going to be a really awful attack. Yeah, this attack is going to be a complete fail. I damage control one fire. The reason I did is because carriers, when they're set on fire, they lose a lot of HP. Fire does a lot of damage. At the same time, I was supposed to send my fighter up. But unfortunately, right when my damage control was done, I think, or either I forgot about my fighter, but when I was supposed to send my fighter up, he was able to drop another dive bomb and set me on fire on 2 locations. And yeah, you guessed it, I'm pretty much screwed. But honestly, it was a good game. I thought this was interesting. He's going for another dive bomb strike. I already activated my defensive fire. This is very rare. You rarely see a CV go into secondary battles. Yeah, this is very interesting, but yeah, I'm going to lose no matter what. I earned myself high caliber, scored 10 hits with my battery so far, secondaries. 12, one plane shot down, and I'm going to be burnt alive, or at least get hit by the Essex secondary. Essex received a nice close quarter medal, and this is our Colorado. Finally made it back to the battlefield. So that's all for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I will see you guys next time on World of Warships.